Welcome to the Learning Curve. I'm Doug. This is my planet, and when I learn, you learn. And today I'm continuing with my video series of creating a basic video project with the KineMaster video editing app for Android. In the last video, I created a project, which you can see here, called Samnow to Tax City. And the original file was this one here, Samnow to Tax City 1. And then I made a copy of it to keep a backup and keep the original safe. And the copy I called Samnow to Tax City 2. And this is the video project that we're going to be opening, and we're going to continue editing on this and hopefully learn a few things along the way. So in the last video, I started with creating a new project by clicking the Create New button, giving the project a name, adding some video clips to the project. We added some music. We did some editing on the music. We added a text screen and edited the text. And that is pretty much where we left off. And today we're going to pick up after that. So let's click on Samnow to Tax City 2. And this opens up our video project. As you can see, it is currently 50 minutes, 36 seconds long with all the video clips that I've added. But we've only edited the first minute or two. And just to refresh our memory, I'm going to play it from the beginning, and you can see the work that we've done.
Good morning. Welcome to another day in Thailand. It's 9:30 in the morning, and I'm just leaving from my hotel here in Samnow. A nice leisurely start to the day. You'd think I was on vacation or something. Thought I would give a quick summary of what I think is going to happen today.
So that is as far as we got last time. And we talked quite a bit about this circle of tools over here, this media button. When you click on that, it opens up all of the folders on your phone that contain photos and videos. So you would go into these folders and select items to add to your project. This layer button, you click on that, and you can also add photos and videos, special effects, stickers, text, and special graphics. But everything that you add through the layer button ends up not on the foundation, not on the main timeline. It ends up down below it in the layers. And everything in the layers sits on top of your foundation video. And in the last video, we learned a very special concept that inside a video editing program like this, in order to do anything, you have to select an object first. So if you look at this screen as it is now, there are not actually a lot of editing tools visible. And that's because we haven't selected anything yet. But if I select this video clip, for example, you will suddenly see a big menu of tools open up in this square on the right. So let's click on this video clip. And there we have it. Now that the video clip is highlighted, has a yellow box around it to show that it's been selected. And now we have all of these editing tools, things that we can use to edit this video clip. This is a song here, 7th Floor Tango. So this is an audio file in the layers. If I click on that, another menu shows up. And this is a different menu with different items that you would use to edit a song. And below that, we have a text item right here. If we click on the text item, it is now highlighted. We can see the text here on the screen. And now we have yet another menu with an entirely new suite of tools that we can use to edit the text. So that's where we are right now, and this is a real video project that I'm working on myself. So this is all happening in real time, And from this point, I'm going to play the video, and hopefully there will be little editing tasks I want to accomplish as I work through the video, and that can show you some more basic tools that you need as you work with KineMaster. So let's get to here where we left off in the last video, and I'm going to play the video and just edit this video as I normally would if I was not even recording a tutorial learning curve video like this one. So I'm going to play the video.
Thought I would give a quick summary of what I think is going to happen today. I'm leaving this late in the morning because I'm only riding to Tax City, which is about 53 kilometers away.
So right there, I talked about where I started my journey and where I'm going today, and perhaps I might want to show that as a graphic. And in fact, I actually have a screenshot of Google Maps that I can insert here, and that will be a useful demonstration for this video. So if we want to insert a photo on top of the video, we have to insert it into the layers. That's very important. I could go into Media and go find my screenshot, but if I select it through the Media button, it will end up here on the timeline, and I don't want it there. I want it in the layers. So of course, you click on the Layer button, and I know I want to find a photo, so I have to go to the Media on my phone. I select Media here, and now we get into all the media on my phone. And here, as I mentioned last time, the default is to show all the video folders and the photo folders all mixed in together. And that can be a bit of a clutter, a bit of a mess. So what I like to do is click on this menu here at the top, and I will select Photos Only. And this will show only the folders on my phone that contain photographs. So I'm looking for a folder called Screenshots. Oh, actually, no, I'm not, because I already... So there it is there, Screenshots. That would be where my screenshots are kept, but I already cropped it using a program called Snapseed. So in fact, I know that the photograph I want is in this folder, in the Snapseed folder. So I click on that. And an interesting tool here is this one up at the top, which is the Sort button. Right now, all of the photographs are sorted from the oldest to the newest. And I don't want that. I want it the other way around. I want my newest photos at the top. So I'm going to click on this button, and it will reverse the order. And now all the most recent photos are at the top. And there it is there. There is my screenshot of Google Maps. And that is what I want to add to the layers of my video project. So we just click on that. And there it is. And by default, it is automatically centered on the screen perfectly, as I demonstrated last time. As you move it around, you get these red lines. So right there, it's centered top to bottom. And if I move it to the right, now it's centered on the screen. In this case, I don't want it centered. I would like it to be here on the right. So I'll just move it over. You can just click and drag. I want to make it a little bit bigger. And to be honest, I am not very well versed in the legalities and the copyright of doing this. In a YouTube video, do I have the legal right to take a screenshot from Google Maps and insert it into a YouTube video? I think I do. I did some research into it, but I actually don't know this for sure. And even if I can insert a map like this into a YouTube video, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to now manipulate it. But for the purposes of this demonstration, that is exactly what I'm going to do. So I've got my map here, and I mentioned the place where I was starting from, and it's right up here where I'm pointing with my mouse. And on this day, I rode my scooter to this highway followed the highway down for a while. Then I went over to a small road and then followed the small road along the river down here into the city of Tak. So this is what the video is about, my journey from this small village to Tak City. But the word there, Tak, is pretty small. So in fact, I want to highlight that a little bit. And you can do that using some special graphics. So let's click on the layer button. And here we get Handwriting Tool. And in the Handwriting Tool, we get some special graphics. So we can get arrows, for example, a whole bunch of different arrows. We can get an X, a square, a circle, paint brushes, pencils. We can do a lot of different graphic images, and we can have different colors. At the moment, I have arrow selected and red selected. Here, as you can see, you can choose a different color if you want. I'm going to leave it that way for now. But what I want to do is put an arrow on the screen pointing to the city of Tak, so we know where we're going on today's journey. It's what I mentioned in the video, and now I want to point it out. So if I click here and draw downwards, I'll get an arrow pointing to Tak City. And it's as easy as that to add a graphic to the screen. So let's see what that looks like.
3 kilometers away, and a mystery benefactor.
So we have a map and we have an arrow, but as you saw, the map kind of jumped into view really quickly.
Away, and a mystery benefactor found out about.
And I don't think it started at the right spot either. I think I might want the map to show up earlier. So let's replay the video.
This late in the morning because I'm only riding to Tak City.
Right there, I said I'm only riding to Tak City, so maybe I want the map to show up right there. So I leave the playhead there, and then I grab the map by clicking and holding, and just drag it to the left, and then you can feel it. It will snap into position next to the playhead. And I want my arrow to show up at the same time. So now we click on the arrow text box, and it snaps into position. So let's see what that looks like.
Heading to Tak City, which is about 53 kilometers away, and a mystery benefactor.
Yeah, that's not bad. And it jumps into view pretty quickly. So I think I want the map to fade in. So I select the map, and now I have all these tools over here. And as I showed in the last video, we can fade anything in using in animation. So we click on this item, select fade, fade in, out animation, fade out. And now let's look at our map. Oop.
Riding to Tak City, which is about 53 kilometers away, and a mystery benefactor.
Notice that the map faded in and out, but our arrow did not. So that looked kind of funny. So we also have to fade in our arrow. Luckily, we can do that. But in the graphics menu, it actually looks a little bit different. So up here, this is the in animation, and this is the out animation, and this one in the middle is the overall animation. So let's start with in animation, and there is fade. So we can fade in the arrow, go to out animation, and fade out the arrow. Let's see how that looks.
Riding to Tak City, which is about 53 kilometers away, and a mystery benefactor.
That's all right. But for some reason, I'm thinking I want a second arrow. So let's throw in another arrow. I want one pointing from this side as well, just to really highlight where Tak City is. So let's add another arrow and have it coming in from the other side. That'll do for now. So now we have a second arrow. But you notice it is not lined up with our other ones here. So a trick that I've learned, I demonstrated this in the other video, is that to move your playhead to a precise location, all you need to do is click on one of these items to select it, and the playhead will automatically lock onto the very beginning of that item right there. So now everything is lined up along there, and I want to take my next arrow and line it up as well. So everything is perfectly lined up. And of course, I want this arrow to fade in. Select fade. And I want it to fade out as well. So now we've got a map and two arrows, all of them fading in and fading out.
Riding to Tack City, which is about 53 kilometers away, and a mystery benefactor.
It doesn't look that great, to be honest. I'll probably go back and redo that in some fashion, but I'll leave it there for now. The other thing that occurs to me is it might not be quite long enough. I think I want the map on the screen a bit longer than that. So it's very easy to do that. So I'm going to click on the map, and then you get a yellow box around it because I've selected it, and there's a handle on each side. And when you click on the handle, you can see that it is exactly 4.5 seconds long. Maybe I want it to be 6 seconds long, so I drag to the right until I get to 6 seconds or thereabout and release. So now it is 6 seconds long. See how that feels?
To Tack City, which is about 53 kilometers away, and a mystery benefactor.
Yeah, I think that feels better, 6 seconds. But you notice now our arrows faded out too soon because they're still 4.5 seconds. So now we have to increase those as well. But now we do get into a bit of a tricky area because I mentioned this trick I have of selecting something and then, having the playhead all the way to the end, and then you can move the other items to lock onto that. But in this situation, because of the way KineMaster works, if I select this, now the playhead will jump there. So my technique fails me. You see that? So it doesn't really work in terms of lining things up. So I just know from experience that what I have to do now is go in the opposite direction. I select this arrow, make it longer. Doesn't matter how long, just as long as it is longer. Do that. So now they are both much longer than the map. And then I select the map. Now my playhead is there. And now, if I select this, I can drag the handle back until it snaps into position. Boom. Now I do the same with this one. Pull it back until it snaps. Right there. So now all three end at the exact same spot, and they begin at the exact same spot.
Late in the morning because I'm only riding to Tack City, which is about 53 kilometers away, and a mystery benefactor found out about my plans to go.
There. I think we'll leave it there for now, and so I'm going to continue listening to the video and seeing if there's any more edits that I want to do.
To go to TAC and booked me and paid for them for me 2 nights at a hotel there. So I'll be staying at the Soho Boutique Hotel.
And right there I mentioned the name of a hotel, and I don't know whether it's good practice or not, but for YouTube videos I have the habit of putting words in captions. So if I ever mention the name of a city or a restaurant or a food or a hotel, I like to see it on the screen. So I'm going to spend the night at the Soho Boutique Hotel, and I want to put those words on the screen. So first I want to find out exactly where I want the words to show up.
So I'll be staying at the Soho Boutique.
So right about there is where I want the words to appear. So I put my playhead there. And now, because text always has to go into the layers, I go back to the layer button, select text, and I type Soho Boutique Hotel. And there it is. And again, by default, it's white and it's right in the middle of the screen. And what I want to do is to make it a bit more prominent. I always like things to fade in. So I tend to do this very quickly. As soon as I do this, I insert the words. Then I go to In Animation, select Fade, go back, select Out Animation, Fade, go back. And I like to put a black line around the lettering just to make it stand out a little bit. And you can do that down below with the Outline tool. So I click on the Outline tool and you enable it to turn it on. And you can adjust how thick the line is. I'm just going to leave it at the default. And I'd like to have it stand out with a bit of a shaded background. And I do that with the background color. So I select background color. And again, I don't do anything very fancy. I just select Enable, and it gives me kind of a gray background. And the last thing I like to do is have a little bit of a lead in, because right now the gray square starts and ends right at the letter. And I like to have a little bit of breathing room. So I want to go back and add some spaces. And if you want to edit this, that's what this is, a little symbol of a keyboard up here. So you click on the keyboard, and now I'm back in my editing screen. And I'm just going to put 2 spaces in. And one weird thing happens with KineMaster, I don't know why. If I put 2 spaces here, I always get a period. See that? A period shows up, and I don't know why that happens. So for some bizarre reason, I have to hit 1 space, then I have to move the cursor over and put in a 2nd space, and then I don't get the period. So there it is, Soho Boutique Hotel, white lettering with a black border inside a gray box. I want to make it a little bit bigger, and I want it down at the bottom of the screen. So I just click and drag, and there's that red line which helps me center it. I put it there, and it's on the screen for 4.5 seconds. Let's see if that's long enough.
So I'll be staying at the Soho Boutique Hotel. So I'm really looking forward to that. The Soho even.
So I think that's fine. As long as people had enough time to read the name when it's on the screen.
Soho Boutique Hotel. So I'm really looking forward to that. The Soho even has a breakfast.
But if you did want it to be a little bit longer, again, it's quite easy to do. You just select it. It's highlighted with a box, and you get a handle. Just grab the handle and drag it to the right. 5 seconds, 6 seconds long. Let go. Let's see how that looks.
I'll be staying at the Soho Boutique Hotel. So I'm really looking forward to that. The Soho even has a breakfast buffet. So that should be quite exciting.
So there you go. We've added a map, a graphic, faded it in, faded it out. We've added some arrows, faded them in and faded them out. And we've added some text. So let's keep listening to the video and see if anything else jumps out at me.
So that should be quite exciting. I should feed myself in the morning, but I rarely do. And it's always, it's really nice when a hotel has a breakfast buffet. It's a really good way. Turns out it's a good way to start your day, is to have something to eat. That was a common practice in Myanmar, which I really appreciated. You got a very simple but a nice breakfast every morning at your hotel. So I'm looking forward to that at the Soho. And even though Tak City is only 53 kilometers away, I might normally still take like 8,000 hours to get there, because I like to ride down through the small country roads. But today I'm doing something completely different. As you can tell, if you look around me, I'm on the highway. Being passed by big trucks. I think this is highway number 1. And the reason I'm on the highway is that I found out yesterday that the Petrified Wood Forest Park is just a couple of kilometers off this highway.
So, whether all of that babbling is something you want in your video, or I want to keep in this video, I don't know yet, but I'll leave it in there for now. It's just me doing my thing, talking about my day as I ride my scooter down the highway. But I mentioned somewhere else here. I mentioned I might go to visit the Petrified Wood Forest Park, and I would like that as a caption as well. And here's a very interesting technique. When I did the original Soho Boutique Hotel, it involved however many, 20 different clicks to get it formatted. And it would be nice if in KineMaster I could set up a style and just automatically apply that style to the caption. But because this is a simplified smartphone-based editing program, you can't do that. So to save time, what I do is I keep copying the one I already made. So I have this one. I already did all the work to make it look exactly how I want it. So what I do is make a copy of it and move it to where I want it to go. And there's a couple of interesting tricks to doing this. I already skipped by one technique, so I'm going to back up for a minute just to demonstrate this, because I've lost my place, haven't I? I don't know where I want to insert this word. Like, where is it in here? So now I have to go searching for it. So let's go find it again.
Park is just a couple of kilometers.
I found it really quickly. So it's right here.
Highway is that I found out yesterday that the Petrified Wood Forest Park.
So I want it to go right around here. This is where I mention it. So I want to drop a bookmark at this point. And KineMaster has a very useful and powerful bookmarking tool. So what you do is you put your playhead where you want to remember a spot. You want to insert something here, you want to edit something here, whatever it is, you just want to remember this place in your video. Nothing could be easier. You just click on this bar and the color will change. Watch this. Change to purple. And now if I move my playhead out of the way, you'll see that there is a small purple marker right there, a bookmark. And you can jump to these. So now if I go far away from that, and if I click and hold on this bar, I will get a list of all the available bookmarks right there. And if I want to go there, all I have to do now is click on this bookmark and I jump right to there. Again, a very powerful tool in KineMaster. In this case, I don't think I can use the jumping technique. I just want to remember where I want to insert this word. So now I go back to the Soho Boutique Hotel, select it, and now we get a little menu up here in the top left. Those 3 dots, remember those 3 dots, because this is a very powerful and useful feature in KineMaster. These 3 dots opens up a sub-menu of some pretty amazing things you can do. And one of the things you can do is make a copy of anything that's selected. So I've selected Soho Boutique Hotel. I click on the 3 dots, and there is the menu. I can duplicate it, and then I can do all these things to it. We won't worry about those at the moment. Let's just select duplicate, and there it is. Now I have an exact copy of Soho Boutique Hotel. You can't see it on the screen because one is sitting directly over top of the other. But if I pick one, if I select one and I move it out of the way, there, you can see I now have 2 of them. But I don't want this here. I want to move it to where I left the bookmark. So you grab it and drag it to the right, and keep dragging until you see your bookmark, and there it is there. And just So now I have this text
that the petrified wood forest park is just a couple.
So instead of doing all the formatting work, all I have to do is click on this, go up to the keyboard icon to open it up for editing, and now I just have to replace the text. And this is the, boy, it's a bit of a long one, but I think my petrified wood forest park. That's the name of the place. And there it is, all done. It's a much, much faster way of doing things.
The petrified wood forest park is just a couple of kilometers off this highway. I thought that I'd heard of this park before.
There you go. And one other trick that I'll introduce right here, just because it fits, in order to take my text box and drag it over here, it took a long time, but that's because the timeline is all spread out. I can't demonstrate this with the mouse, but with your fingers, you can touch the screen and pinch and condense the timeline. So right now, for example, as you can see, there's my petrified text box, and there's nothing here at all. Everything is blank, but now I'm going to pinch, and as I pinch, suddenly much more is visible on the screen, and everything is now closer together. I can pinch out again just to give me a little bit more room. So had I done this originally, I can see everything at the same time. So then I could click on this text box, make a duplicate, and then it's a much easier task to move it to where I want it to go, because I can see everything on the screen at the same time. And once I've finished doing that, then I can use my thumb and finger on the screen to expand it again and pinch out. So that's a big time saver. 3 time savers, I guess. One is to create a graphic element, and then instead of recreating that graphic element over and over and over again, just make a copy of it. Just keep making endless, infinite copies and reusing it and change the text, and then you don't have to do all the work over and over again. Don't forget about the bookmark tool. Like, set a bookmark whenever you want to put something in place or remember something in your video. And finally, don't forget about pinching to zoom in and then zoom back out again. Again, it's a very powerful tool. Anyway, we don't need this extra Soho boutique hotel, so let's delete that. All right, so we've gone this far. And to be honest, now that I've mentioned the petrified wood forest park right here,
that the petrified wood forest park is,
I wouldn't mind putting a graphic, like a picture of this park or something to do with the park up in the corner. But I don't have anything right now that I can stick in there. Because in fact, spoiler alert, when I got to the park later in the morning, it was closed. All the national parks in Thailand are closed because of the pandemic. They've been closed, I don't know, months, maybe a year and a half they've been closed. They've been closed a long time. And I was not able to actually visit the park. So I don't have any video of the park, and I don't have any pictures of the park. But, okay, we've reached this point. Let's continue on.
This park is just a couple of kilometers off this highway. I thought that I'd heard of this park before. I think a bunch of Thailand YouTubers have visited this park and made videos about it, but I'd never been there. I thought it was far to the north. I had no idea it was between Samnyao and Tak City.
So just for fun, maybe I can insert a map showing the location of this park. And to do that, I can use the Google map that I've already used. So just for fun, let's insert it. And if you remember, we have to insert graphic elements as layers every time. So let's start with layer. We want to go to our media. And an interesting feature of KineMaster is that it often remembers the last folders that you accessed and it puts them at the top of the screen. So Screen Capture and Snapseed are two folders I recently accessed. So now Snapseed is conveniently right up here at the top already. Click on that, and there is my map, my Google map of this area. So we want to move it over to here, make it a bit bigger. And of course, we want to fade it in, fade it out. We probably want it on the screen longer, so let's grab the handle out to 6 seconds. And right this second, I couldn't tell you exactly where this park is, but just for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to estimate where it is and pretend that I know. So what I want to do is put on some text and then an arrow to show the location of the places I'm talking about. So I mentioned that this park is in between Sam Niao and Tak, just off the highway. So let's start with Sam Niao. Let's get some text. Sam Niao. And I guess we're going to have to do something special with this text. This is something new for me. I don't generally work with such small text on maps like this. So this is actually kind of a new thing. I'm not sure this will work out at all. But let's give it an outline. I like the outline. It makes it a little bit easier to read. But I don't need a gray box around it because it's sitting on green here. So I think it's pretty easy to see. And Sam Niao is right about here. So I think I want Sam Niao to be a little bit smaller. Oh, okay, I've got the wrong thing selected. There we go. I'm trying to move it, but it keeps doing the wrong thing. There we go. So let's move it right to there. Now I want an arrow from Sam Niao to right here where the town is located. And I want that arrow to be white. And I want it to be smaller. So this arrow, I can choose the thickness of it. And you do that with this symbol down here, that dot. That shows the thickness of the line. That's the one that I'm using right now. I think that is the default, but I want a thinner one for this. So I'm going to select that one, a tinier dot, and I'm going to change the color to white. And now I can draw an arrow, maybe from Sam, from right here. Ooh. Okay. Sam Niao is right there. And just to speed things up, as I said before, it's a good idea to duplicate things. And you can see how we're running out of real estate here because I've got 3 items now and the layers are spilling off the screen, which is why you would sometimes switch to this view. But I can't really use that view right now because I need to see this full size. But this is one of the limitations of editing video on a smartphone, I suppose. But to save time, I can take Sam Niao, and instead of redoing all of that work, I'm just going to make a copy of it, duplicate it, drag it down to here, change the text to Tak. Now I'm not going to touch it. I was having so much trouble. And let's put an arrow in place for it. White. Yeah. Yeah, I'm having a little trouble with this mouse, I think, because I normally use a stylus, and it's a much more precise tool. This mouse with this giant arrowhead is, I'm having more trouble starting, like picking a starting point for my edits. I think that's why I'm having trouble. So this may or may not work out, because now we need a big one. Let's make another duplicate of this. And let's move it over to here, because this one involves a lot of words. Maybe I can shorten it. Let's see. If I start with petrified wood. Forest Park. That's the full name of this place as far as I know. So yeah, that's a lot. I think we do have to make that. Yeah, I think I'm having trouble because I'm using the mouse. It's harder to control. So let's move that there. And we need one more arrow. This is getting a little bit out of control. It probably is not going to look very good. And I believe the Forest Park is somewhere around there. But that arrow didn't quite work out. You can't really edit these arrows, so I basically have to delete that arrow and start all over again. And again, with this mouse, I'm just having trouble. Actually, let me put the mouse aside. Let me grab my stylus. You can't see what I'm doing, but there you can see that little circle. So it's a much more precise tool, and I can start exactly where I want, right there. There we go. So yeah, the stylus is a much better tool. So, not the greatest thing in the world, but there's Samniao, there's Tak, and there's the park, the approximate location. But now, I kind of have all these elements, and I want them all to start at the same time. So I need to move all these things, and I want them all to line up at the same spot. So I'm going to move all of my arrows. That one. And, I want all of them to be the same length as the map. So this is going to take a little bit of work. My trick, as I mentioned before, is to make all of them extra long. That's the only way I've been able to figure out to do this. There might be another technique, but I haven't found it yet. So I've got to select all these items. You can see the advantage of this view to go here as opposed to the normal view, because I can't see anything. Now I need this view in order to manipulate all these items that I've added. So in order for them to match the length of my map, I've got to put the playhead there, and now one by one drag the handle so they all click into place. So far, so good. My arrows. And we're not done yet, though, because we also have to fade everything in and out, assuming we want fade. So I think Samniao was already faded, but now in this view, you don't get the menu anymore. So in order to edit these, I have to go back. So here we can see the red line means I've already done the fading in for Samniao. What about for Tak? Yeah, these were all copies, so they would all have the formatting already. So that saved me a bunch of time. Unfortunately, I can't do the same thing with the arrows. I can't really make copies of them. So these all have to be faded in and faded out one at a time. And here's the next arrow. Fade it in, fade it out. And my last arrow, fade that one in, and fade it out. So maybe we have something here. Let's see how this looks. And I'm going to go full screen for this. Remember in the last video I mentioned the hidden feature of full screen playback. The play button, if you click and hold, like press and hold it down, then it flips into full screen mode. So that might be useful to see how this really looks. Let's do that now.
I thought it was far to the north. I had no idea it was between Samniao and Tak City. So once I found that out, I thought, well, that'd be a good place to check out today. So most of today is going to be about...
Not bad, you know, it's actually, it's more useful than I thought it would be, to be honest. I kind of like having that there. I'm probably going to end up keeping it, though I might do some work on it to make it look better. Samniao, actually the name Samniao looks too large compared to the others. So make it a bit smaller. And I'm going to double check the exact location of the park, and then so that make sure this arrow is pointing in the right direction. And I can easily delete that arrow and replace it with a new one, you know, pointing to the right spot. So there we have it. Samniao, Tak, and the Petrified Wood Forest Park right in the middle. And was it on the screen long enough? If anyone wanted to look at it, did they have enough time?
Samniao and Tak City. So once I found that out, I thought, well, that'd be a good place to check out today. So most of today is going to be...
Might be a bit short because it's such a complicated map, but of course people can always pause their phone and take a closer look if they want to. Okay. And since we're doing something a bit different here, I don't have a particular use for this right now, but I'll show you something interesting, another tool in KineMaster. It's just that this screen might be very useful as a thumbnail, for example. Maybe you need a thumbnail for YouTube, or you need it as a graphic. This icon right here, that is supposed to represent like a camera viewfinder. So you can use this tool to take a picture of whatever is on the screen. So you can capture this image and save it to your phone. You can capture it and add it as a clip. And I think this is important, I guess. KineMaster and other video editing programs often distinguish between the main timeline and the layers by using the word clip. So anything that is added to the foundation, to the main timeline, they call it a clip. And then anything added to the layers, they call a layer. And that gets very confusing because you can add video clips to the layers. So there's no reason why a clip can't be in the layer. But anyway, this is the language that they ended up with. But if you capture and save to your phone, you just end up with a picture that you can use later. If you capture and add as clip, this picture will be inserted on the timeline. And if you do capture and add as layer, then it will be added down here, actually. And just to show you what I'm talking about, in case this doesn't make any sense, I'll do a capture and save. So it saved this frame as a JPEG, and it's now on my phone, and I could go get it if I wanted to. And if I do capture and add as layer, you'll see that it will appear probably in this stack. And there it is. It added it to another layer, and as you can see, it is a completely separate picture, identical to what is sitting above it. And of course, this doesn't make any sense to have this picture here right now, but there are many times when you might want to take a picture of your screen and insert it somewhere else in your video. My battery power is down to 5% on my phone, so I have to shut down for a minute, and I think that will be the end of my video for now, for video 2 of my learning curve for the basic tools in editing a video in KineMaster.